I wanted to touch on one thing first with Justin Fields. And I think some of your criticisms are super fair. And I like what you're saying on Twitter. There is like this mob mentality with Justin Fields and like just
crazy.
People. But
crazy. I stepped in it yesterday. Dan Orlovsky got the worst of it though. Dan.
Well, but he deserved
He did
deserve it. Because as a journalist saying what he said without that's like explosive. Knowing for
that
sure
was explosive. Yeah,
ridiculous. What are you like? What are you doing, man? But I wanted to say this, like, I'm going to push back a little bit in saying that, like,
push back.
I think some of the other quarterbacks deserve more criticism from the public. I think that's what the difference is right now. Is it feels like Justin Fields is getting piled on a little bit. And there's a little bit of this, like, the people who are critical of him are super overly critical of him for specific things, but then they'll overlook those things for other quarterbacks. I mean, you've talked about it, but the national media hasn't talked about the fact that Mac Jones has a DUI and when he was a freshman at Alabama. And I mean, your last caller just put it out perfectly, like with the Reuben Foster situation. Like, how could you trust that situation again? So I just think there's a lot of other criticism for the other guys, like, and I think that's just the part to me that people need to pay more attention to. But just to get into what I wanted to talk about, I want to talk about the quarterbacks in a sec. But first of all, you talked about this with me before the trade happened, before all this craziness started. I think Kyle might take a running back high in the draft. Not first round, obviously, right? But I feel like he's going to take a day 2, day 3 running back when he just doesn't really need to. And I always thought, this year is going to be the year he takes another wide receiver. He does it every year. But I think they're going to even if they do take a wide receiver, I think they're going to take a running back higher than they do take a wide receiver because Kyle feels like he needs that extra depth at the position right now. I mean, especially with the guys they have, because if you're looking at the entire backfield, I like our backfield, but I like them all when they're healthy, and we don't know that all the time. And I think that's one of the, I feel like, bigger depth issues right now for us. So,
you got any names that you're looking at?
I like the kid out of North Carolina.
That's what everyone says. I forget his name. I haven't really scouted running backs. I've been quarterback focused, but everyone says the dude out of North Carolina is like the dude. Some people like him the most in the draft.
Yeah. Well, and if like Travis Etienne falls to the second round and he falls that far, man, why not? I mean, like at 43, he's that good. But
I think that's a good prediction that the Niners would do something like that.
Yeah. I think it's right up Kyle's sleeve too. Like we've talked about it. He likes to invest in running backs. He just hasn't done it with the draft capital yet. So I think that's where we're headed. But my question to you is, out of the quarterbacks we're looking at right now, out of the 4 guys who could realistically go to the Niners, I'm including Zach Wilson in it. Who do you think Kyle would have the easiest time adjusting to his offense and adjusting to the league?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
I do. Okay, I do. I just feel like Trey Lance, even though he has the experience in the system, he doesn't have the reps. He needs time.
Okay.
Because reps are important for quarterbacks. The situational awareness, all that stuff. And then Fields, he's a spread offense guy. He needs to throw down the field. I don't think he's a good fit for a yak offense. I could be wrong. That's and fair. Also his performance against the pressure is scary to me because you can have all the tools, right? All the tools. But if you can't beat a blitz, it's all you're gonna get is blitzes, and you're gonna fail. So I don't know. It may not be him, but I feel like he still needs time too.
Yeah.
So Mac Jones, just what he does at Alabama, it looks like what Jimmy's supposed to be doing on the 49ers. Right. That's how I put it.
Right. And you know what? I think I agree with that a little bit. I also think Zach Wilson would be really interesting. I don't think it would be as easy as Mac Jones, but I feel like, the high end upside in year 1 would be absolutely like unreal. And I mean, I'm there with you for Mac Jones. I just think that with Justin Fields, I feel like a lot of like what all the criticisms we're talking about, you've acknowledged this as well. It's the Ohio State offense. It's like he's one of the hardest quarterbacks to scout out of all. I think him and Trey Lance are the 2 hardest guys to figure out what's going on, because with Trey Lance, and people don't like to, I know you've talked about this and you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but the most pass attempts he's ever had in a game was 23 in college. That matters. Like we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. Yeah,
for real? 23.
I read that somewhere, and I'll have to double check. But no,
again, that's not his fault. That's how they do offense at North Dakota State. But again, it's not that you're not writing him off, but the dude is going to need time on the bench. Years.
I mean, yeah, and people are talking about him as like no one has really compared him to the toolsy Patrick Mahomes, but man, Patrick Mahomes threw like 88 passes in the game, right?
Yeah,
like we're talking, it's a completely different thing, and people don't like to talk about with North Dakota State either. Not only are the Alabama of Division II football, they're better than Alabama at that level. I mean, they've won like the last 4 national championships.
Yeah, they would win the national championship without him.
Like it's ridiculous. I mean, like one of their tackles is going to be taken like day 1, day 2, I think, or something like that. So yeah, I'm kind of like, you know, for me, I think I'd love Zach Wilson. I think you've heard me talk about that before. But Justin Fields, if Kyle can figure out those issues with him, man, I'm all for it.
Me too.
And that's my thing. It's like I don't buy any of these smoke screens we're seeing right now, the Mac Jones, Trey Lance stuff, because at this time of the year, like remember when Nick Bosa got drafted, it was all Quentin Williams, it was you know, all these other guys. So for me, it's like whoever the guy is that Kyle believes he can take and put in his offense and get the most high end upside out of and help him adjust the best. To me, that's the best guy for this team. I don't know who that is, but Kyle's got to figure that out. But I think that's just my point. You know, I think people are focusing too much on this or that, but it's really just got to be whoever Kyle feels like he can go and place in his offense and have a lot of success. So